host, Bill Borton. Today, we're going to talk about baby boomers and retirement income planning. Baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. Our parents were the greatest generation. They grew up during the Depression, went through World War II, went to college on the GI Bill, bought a house in the suburbs, remember Levittown? Ultimately, they went to work, usually for one employer, and retired at 65 with a gold watch and a pension. Our kids are millennials. What more can I say? So, as boomers, we've faced many challenges over the years, but let me step back first and talk about me. I was born in 1953. As a child, I remember things like Howdy Doody, Chief Halftown, Gene London, and Sally Starr. Remember her, Philadelphia? In the evenings, we had Father Knows Best and Leave It to Beaver and Ed Sullivan. There were not too many things to worry about other than beginning in the early 60s, things like nuclear war. Remember duck and cover? Like a wooden school desk was going to protect you? Oh my. And then the 60s ended with Woodstock and the moon landing, with Neil Armstrong's step on the moon. In between, we had things like Sputnik and the Mercury space program and Kennedy's pledge to be on the moon by '69, the end of the decade. We had the assassinations of Bobby and John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King. We had riots and protests of the Vietnam War. It was a tumultuous time. Anybody remember Earth Day? But there was also things about it that we all remember, like the music. Remember the British invasion with the Beatles in 1964 and the Rolling Stones and some of the other bands like The Who? Pete Townsend, who was the lead guitar player and songwriter for The Who, penned a song over 50 years ago called My Generation. And the line that's so memorable from that song was, "I hope I die before I get old." Well, Pete's still around. He's still performing with Roger Daltrey. The other two members of the group are gone, but they're still around, singing and playing, even though Pete's mostly deaf at this point. So here we are, baby boomers, getting older. We haven't died, most of us, and we're thinking about things like retirement and living a long life, outliving our parents, as a matter of fact, in many cases. But are we prepared? That's a big question. Most surveys say that the biggest fear baby boomers have is outliving their resources, running out of money. It can be very stressful. Have you planned? Do you know what planning involves? We're going to talk more about that after a word from our sponsors. I'm Bill Borton. We'll be back in a moment with more Live Better Longer.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs designed new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Welcome to Live Better Longer, the show for baby boomers who want to improve and even extend their retirement years. I'm your host, Bill Borton. On Live Better Longer, our viewers meet and learn from a wide variety of experts and thought leaders who share their knowledge on subjects ranging from portfolio management to nutrition management, from insurance, Social Security, and reverse mortgages, to annuities, Medicare, and Roth IRA conversions. Not just thought-provoking and actionable information, but why it's important to you. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 on RVN TV for reliable and unbiased information from experts in their field who are committed to helping you live better longer.
Is your business growing and now you need a new and bigger building? Has your organization outgrown their facility and now it's time to expand? Do your hobbies require the need for more space? If you're paying rent, but now you want the advantages of owning, the prospect of financing, construction, and on-time completion may seem out of your reach. General Steel Corporation has the answer. A pre-engineered steel building from the General will not only look great and satisfy almost any need, but you'll save time and money. Our team will help you create your building and deliver it to your location. We offer design services to help you present your concept to board members, bankers, or for fundraising. And the General can even help with financing. General Steel is a name you know, with quality backed by a 50-year structural warranty. Call today and find out how easy it is to have the building you want. You may even save up to $20,000 with rebates. If you need space, you need the General.
Welcome back to Live Better Longer. I'm your host, Bill Borton. Before the break, we talked about how baby boomers are concerned about running out of money. Well, we do know that baby boomers are time-pressed and in many cases stressed. They've been referred to as the sandwich generation. May have had children later in life. In some cases, the kids went to college on the 5 or even the 6-year plan. And in some cases, you're still dealing with student loans and maybe even your kids working at Starbucks and living back in the room they grew up in your home. You're thinking about what comes next in retirement, but do you really know what that means? At the same time, you may be caring for aging parents and dealing with caregiving issues and worse yet, dementia. I know I went through that with both of my parents. Boomers don't have time to do many things that they should be doing, like talking to their families about planning for the long-term care and retirement, talking to their parents about their finances and how they're fixed for their later years, which they may already be well into. They don't talk to their children, in many cases, about things that matter most. So, what do we do? Where do we go? First of all, we need to understand that you're going to live longer in many cases, but are you going to live better? Unhealthy lifestyles have brought on chronic illnesses for many people, which have caused people to be, in some cases, overweight and stressed out and requiring daily medications that don't necessarily make you better. There are other issues that people face, such as loss of jobs and premature retirement, so that you don't have a chance to plan. So back in 2008, anybody remember that? A lot of people were planning on retiring, but then had to keep on working. Maybe you will too. Social Security was designed back in a time when people retired at 62 or 65 and then didn't last much longer than that. Now people are going to be living into their 90s or even 100. The 100 centenarians are the fastest growing demographic in the population right now. So, what do we do? Where do we go? Well, most of us have people that we rely on for advice and counsel for tax. We have an accountant, helps us with our taxes. We may have drafted some legal documents and have an attorney. We may have a financial advisor of some type who we've given our assets to, whose job is to grow them and hopefully not lose them. Most of the financial advisors these days, however, are focused on accumulating money, but not necessarily giving it back, or what's known as decumulation. But when you start thinking about retirement, and you may not have a whole lot of years to think about it, accumulation is important, but having a plan in place to deal with the retirement income or the decumulation is even more important. The whole world changes when you're preparing to retire. How much your money grows is far less important than how safe it is and what sources of retirement income you may have. These are the planning issues that you really need to begin talking about and having conversations about, either when you turn age 50 or when you've stopped paying college tuition. Most couples don't really think about themselves in their later years when they're still facing those big tuition payments. So, at this point, what I'd like to do is take another break for another word from our sponsor, and I'll be back in a few moments to talk a bit more about the process. Thank you. This is Bill Borton. We'll be back with more Live Better Longer.
Hi, I'm Christine Patton, the Juice Girl. The Champion Juicer has been my juicer of choice for years, whether I'm making a glass of juice or a large batch of juice for my juice bar. These juicers are simple to use and so easy to clean. Champion juicers are masticating, cold-pressed juicers. 2 models are available, the Classic 2000 and the new Elite 4000. Besides juicing, both models can make frozen fruit, smoothies, nut butters, sauces, and even baby food. The Elite 4000 Champion Juicer also excels at juicing greens and wheatgrass. These juicers deserve to be called the world's finest. For more information, please visit my website at juicegirlpharmacy.com or championjuicer.com.
Welcome back to Live Better Longer. I'm your host, Bill Borton. Let's talk about retirement income planning. Where do we begin? Well, at the first of all, point in all this is what I call having the conversation about what matters most. So that's what we do. We sit down together and we talk about what matters most to you, about your retirement hopes and dreams, and your fears. Do you know what you don't know, or do you have blind spots? Have you talked to your spouse or to your kids about what this might look like? Do you know when you might want to retire, or where you might want to retire to? Are you going to be snowbirds? Will you retire to Central America? Will you move to a warmer climate in general, like Arizona or Florida? Or will you move somewhere to be closer to your grandchildren? Will you continue working in retirement part-time because you want to or because you have to? What will you do about staying active and keeping your body and your mind healthy? When you're keeping your mind sharp, you can tend to stave off dementia a lot better than if you're sitting around doing crossword puzzles. So, once we've talked about those things, then we need to talk about what you've got and where you have it. How much do you have? Is it enough to retire on? How do you know? Remember, once you get to the point where you're now taking what you've accumulated along with Social Security, and if you're fortunate enough to have any pension income, and creating a retirement income strategy that will make sure that you have enough money to cover your living expenses no matter how long you live. There's several widely regarded retirement income strategies: the safe withdrawal strategy, the bucket strategy, and the flooring strategy. I like the flooring strategy because this is the one that really makes sure that you can't run out of money. You supplement Social Security or any pension income with income annuities and cover your living expenses so that no matter what happens, you'll have a paycheck to cover all that in retirement, no matter how long you live. The balance of your assets and savings can be put to work in stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, real estate, wherever it is that you feel you want to go in order to stay ahead of inflation and make sure you have enough money for unexpected expenses and trips and things like that. So, to be able to determine how much you need in income, there's a number of ways you can go about it. The rules of thumb that you read in the articles and financial advice magazines aren't necessarily right for you. So what I recommend is you take a look at all your fixed expenses. This can be a somewhat daunting process and it takes time, but this is very important. So we have at W.R. Borton Associates software that generates what's called an income for life report. We put in all of your data, all your savings, your investments, your other sources of income that you will have, such as Social Security and again pension income or part-time employment income, and we determine where the shortfalls may lie. We then can determine how much guaranteed lifetime income you would need to make up the shortfall. That way you can then determine what to do with the rest of your money when you're talking to your financial or wealth advisor. Speaking of that financial or wealth advisor, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a money manager, but I like collaborating with people who are. I regularly collaborate with my clients' wealth managers, tax counsel, or legal counsel. I help again identify blind spots and in some cases coordinate the process between the other advisors. Not always, but sometimes it's necessary that we do things that way. Ultimately, you end up with a plan that provides you with the income that you need in order to be able to live better longer and to remain confident that you won't outlive your assets. This is a process that takes time. It's ongoing. It's not one and done. You don't set it and forget it. It requires regular adjustments, which again is why you need a team of specialists. It used to be that people had a generalist. You had one doctor. You went to him or her for any ailment or issue that you had. These days, everybody's a specialist. I specialize in risk management and income planning for baby boomers who want to live better longer. I don't manage money, as I said before, but I love collaborating with people who do. I have a Series 65, which means that I'm a fiduciary. And that means that I have to act in your best interests just the way a registered investment advisor would do as well. So I like the idea of a wealth manager and a risk manager collaborating on your behalf in your best interests. So that's the way it works. So any of you who'd be interested in having the conversation about what matters most, I'd be happy to give you a copy of Rewirement, Rewiring the Think About Your Way You Retire Retirement Planning. This is a book by my friend and colleague Jamie Hopkins from the Retirement Institute at the American College of Financial Services in Bryn Mawr. It's a really recent book. It's excellent. It's for consumers and advisors and helps you understand better all the things you need to take into consideration when planning for retirement. Again, Rewirement, a free copy if you'd like to have a conversation about what matters most. So, I'd like to thank you for your time. Next week, I'll be back with another guest to talk about more ways that you can live better longer. Thank you. This is Bill Borton. I'll talk to you later.